Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Friday morning, the 21st. Time for the podcast after Bill Burr's Thursday afternoon podcast that he posted late as hell. So we're going to be winging it here. Did you listen? Did you hear him reminiscing about all the good old days? You know, it's funny. He's starting to sound like he's older and older. Every podcast and every comedy special, which, I mean, obviously, you age, you're only going one way, but he's starting to get into those, the grandpa years, you know. He's talking about his favorite sweater that he got in New York and how comfortable it is, and he's talking about, New York, how it used to be fun and this and that, and he was going on about the subway being blocked off because then it smelled like pee real bad, and nobody told them on their way back up. And that's to me, that's typical New York, dude. Nobody gives a shit about you. You're on your own. You find out the same way they did. You find out, this shit don't work or this shit's blocked off. And then he said he was talking about I guess assuming the mayor. He was saying how he ruined the city, and because Times Square now there's like so the way Times Square is, it's kind of like two streets that meet in a V, but where they meet from there to not necessarily right that point, but that V where it spreads in the middle, in that middle part is where people would hang out and do the shows and performances or walk around on the sidewalk or in the middle, and you'd look around Times Square, but there'd still be cars, like he said, taxis and shit, would still be driving up and down those two streets. And now, no, it's blocked off. Like, you drive up to a certain point and then you there's like, I don't know what, they made it all into like a tourist area now. So you can't drive through there, but when he said getting a taxi was so much harder, dude, I mean, I can't say before the 90s, but from the 90s to now, and for me at least in New York, a taxi, that was the last fucking thing you wanted to get. You would rather walk, because at least walking, you'd fucking make it, you could walk a couple blocks, grab a subway. Like he said, when he said he missed the one because the turnstiles, it was all police taped off, and it smelled like piss, all he had to do probably was walk a couple blocks and there was another subway station, instead of grabbing a cab. I mean, dude, you're sitting in, if it's anything like New York City traffic, that I've always seen, just like the movies, I mean, you're sitting in the fucking taxi for a couple hours, like an hour, for a trip that you could take in, a 5-10 minute walk and then a 5-10 minute, subway ride. And, hey, I don't know. I know you're trying to get places, but I mean, the taxi's never been recommended in my 30-something years, and I've been to New York City a lot. I know he lived there. I'm not fucking. This isn't a dick measuring contest. But no, I just thought it was kind of funny because, between that and then he's going on about the poison food supply, and he's kind of rambling on about the same stuff. It's like listening to Grandpa, like he talks about that dementia story, and I'm wondering, is it him? I mean, he's talking about a lot of the same stuff, a lot of pretty often, and I get it. He's busy, so he didn't have much else to talk about besides Glenn Ross and fucking making crepes and mayonnaise and. He said he was on The View and on The Tonight Show. That's where he got his favorite sweater, his comfy, nice sweater. And yeah, that's when he said it sounded like he was getting old, talking about that, and his AARP card, and all this fucking just old man shit, shit that it's weird because I'm used to the middle age, I guess you could say, like the middle old man Burr, that always ranted and raved and got mad about shit. So it's crazy, changing of the times. It's just like when I was a kid watching Craig Ferguson, the Late Late Show, or that's what it was. After David Letterman, it was Craig Ferguson, the Late Late Show. And dude, as a teenager, my dad didn't care. The heat in the car choked me for a second. Sorry. No, yeah, my dad didn't care if I watched those shows, so I watched, and they absolutely killed me. No, so yeah, Bill, on that note, yeah, like I said, he sounds like he's talking more like an old man when it comes to, everyday life and things, going to the gym and doing the elliptical, and the speed bag. I was surprised when he said that, not that he can't do it, but from the elliptical to that, it's like you're going from help, I've fallen and I can't get up, to like a Rocky Balboa movie or something. But yeah, and then mentioning the getting discounts with your AARP card. That's kind of, I don't know how other people feel about this, but you ever had dinner or breakfast or something with a rich person? Well, like I said, rich in our eyes, in our regular income eyes. You have breakfast or dinner with them or something, and then they ask for it. Are there free refills on the sweet tea? Do you get extra fries with that or whatever? And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? You made how many million on your last special, and you're asking about discounts on your AARP card? Like, when is cheap enough going to be cheap enough? How much money do you spend that it's that important? Like, oh my God, I've been missing discounts. You got to make sure you get your rewards in, and you got to get all your ducks in a row. You can't save money being like that, man. And yeah. So let's see, what do I got for me this week? Because that was pretty much all he said. And he went on about racing. Marc Marquez, MotoGP. I already mentioned that. I'm not gonna repeat and recycle, refilter. That's a waste of time. So it might be a little shorter. But he mentioned people getting together over in South Korea to make things happen. People working together, standing in the streets, whatever they got to do. I don't know, protesting and whatever, But I wanted to comment on that because even he's probably will agree on this part. People in the United States, that's something that we can do too. And I don't mean like small groups. I'm talking the whole country. Can stand united. The last time I saw us actually united like this, or not like this, but like we should be, was after 9/11. And it shouldn't take a terrorist attack, or hold on one second. I gotta pull up to this drive-thru, getting some breakfast. All right, breakfast is grabbed. Sorry about that. I had a little pause there. Felt like it'd be better to pause it than keep you sitting with me in the drive-thru for fucking 5-10 minutes. But yeah, because my studio is my portable studio. It's on the way to work. It's my car. Sometimes he does his in his car, and sometimes he's got a fancy little studio or an apartment where with Nia in the background, and all I got. I got lucky and I recorded with a friend at the house for the reaction, but whew, that was close. But no, for all my regular shit, it's fucking Studio One, we'll call it. Fucking Studio One in Michigan, and it's a traveling studio, possibly sitting in parking lots, possibly on the road. I will say, however, on that note, I do have my notes, and I do wait to fucking stop at red lights. And like, for example, I'm at one now, so I'm gonna look over, see what I do. I don't drive unsafe. I want to put that out there, because people are probably thinking, oh, he's probably reading his notes while he's looking down and he's driving and he's gonna rear end. No, sorry, but I'll fucking let you sit there on pause for a second, or not even pause, but I'll just be quiet for a second and fucking leave it, because safety first. I'm not doing this the rest of my life for anybody. I'm just doing this to fucking, it's either going to be a memoir for my family and for myself for, future years to come, of all the dumb shit I said and, dumb shit going on in the world, or, we're going to fucking make something of this. But either way, everybody says you got to fucking, do it. You got to chase your dreams, blah, blah, blah. So we're doing it. We're chasing it. We're going fucking big here. America 2025. God damn it, we're gonna do it. But people getting together, yeah, as a country, we should all come together. I'm not saying all, gather up in the same city and have 300 million people in fucking, Times Square, but, as a country, we should, everybody should realize by now we shouldn't be worried about colors, and that goes for political, that goes for, skin, that goes for fucking, flags of representation, for letters, numbers, this, that. It doesn't, we're all human beings. We all want a happy, peaceful life. We all want to, whether it's working your 40 hours or if you're a doctor or, nurse or a lawyer, whatever you're doing, whether it's contract work, whatever the case, everybody wants to do their work and be able to come home to a nice, relaxing, affordable living, lifestyle. For example, I should be able to afford to fly out. Bill mentioned his shows in May. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to save up enough to get a fucking airplane from Detroit to New York. That's like, what, an hour trip? Hour and a half, it's fucking right over the lake pretty much, and just across New York State. So, I to be able to afford to get that kind of flight, a hotel for 2 nights, and a $75 ticket to the show, and then if it's like the other Broadway shows I've seen and been to, the cast, they walk out like this back door kind of deal at night, or not at night. It's not like some it sounds like some fucking 3 a.m. shit. Like they sneak out the back door, like is everybody gone, and they really sneak back to their hotel. No, they come out like after the show, but most shows are like dinner time shows or after dinner. But so say the cast is coming out. What a perfect start for, at least for this podcast. The whole goal was to meet him, but the goal is to actually be able to sit down and fucking talk to the guy, not just, fucking, oh my God, there he is outside of the show, and fucking, wave and take a picture like fucking looking like Carrot Top, all fucking, googly eyed and big smile and shit next to Bill in his fucking, outfit for the play. Even though but that would be a cool starter, at least I'd have a cool thumbnail or a fucking background to put on the video. But yeah, you can't even afford that, and that's on, like I said, a full work week, after, bills are paid, and that's not really excessive bills. I don't even think I have. Streaming, you could say the only thing that you could say is, you spend too much on streaming. That's good, and that's because every service is separate, and it costs, this much for services, and I bundle what I can, but you can only fucking bundle so much, and certain services won't let you share this or do that, and it's a fucking nightmare. What's going to happen is there's going to be 75 streaming services, and they're going to bundle them all into one and call it fucking cable, and the world's going to think that this amazing thing has happened where this new invention, cable, came along, and they're going to realize it's been around the whole fucking time. It's just going to be wireless cable, because that's how the streaming is. It's fucking over Wi-Fi. So that's all it's going to be. It's just going to have wireless cable. I think that's already a thing with like, kind of like Fubo, they have, it's not cable, like I said, it's wireless and all that, but they have, they charge a cable price, but you get a cable quality amount of channels from what I'm told. I haven't used it, so no negative, no positive, just, from what I've heard. But, as far as people coming together, if we all fucking came together, got rid of the fucking, what you assume about people, don't assume that I'm a sexist or a racist or this or that because of my clothes or because of my, hairstyle. And I don't assume when I see other people, I've seen, my black friends, and black folks all the way from, dressed in like the finest, like dripped out, blinged out, like donk car, 24-inch rims, bass, all the way hood. And then I've seen a black guy in a fucking lifted pickup truck with a straw hat, overalls, no shirt, and literally a piece of straw at his mouth. Like, he might as well have been ready to yell yeehaw, like, I've seen, same thing with white and Spanish, everybody's, the United States is a melting pot. That's what we are, We're made of immigrants from all over, even the colonial days. Those were immigrants from, England, And then you had the French territory that was purchased, Louisiana purchased, and you got, the Spanish territories over out west that, they fought Mexico for and whatnot. So, I mean, come on, it's 2025. Let's get past the dumb shit. Let's get past the colors, like, oh, you're blue, I'm red, I'm green, this, that. Who cares, I mean, do you want to be happy? Yes. Do I want to be happy? Yes. Do you want others around you to be happy in general? Yes, probably. If you're, a fucking normal person, So you answer all three yeses to those questions, and then none of the other shit matters. The rest of it's personal life. You're gay, you're straight, you're this, you're that, you're black, you're white. That's all personal life. It doesn't matter, and you don't. It doesn't rub off. You're walking through Times Square. It's real busy. You accidentally you bump into a gay person and then a black person. If you're white, you're not going to be a black gay person when you wake up. You're not going to be, you're not going to have fucking vitiligo or fucking, whatever. I don't get it. It's fucking crazy. We should come together. I guess that's the big point on, what he said today that really caught me is, that people in Asia, in countries I feel like far more strict than us, far more harsh, hard to live, they come together for a common goal. And meanwhile, it's like, we got groups coming together, you got the red group and the blue group, like the old Pokemon games for fucking Game Boy, and then you got the directional groups like the left and the right and the up and downs, and then you got the letters groups and the non-letters groups and the anti this and anti that and pro this and pro that, and it's fucking, it's like, why do we subcategorize our country into 1,000 different things? Why isn't it just the United States of America? Like I said, keep your private life, your private. Share it if you want, but as far as when it comes together for national matters like our economy and our life, I think that's something everybody can fucking agree on. But I'm just rambling on now on that bullshit. You ever had a car where you stop at the intersection and they're at the red light in front of you? You're like the second car behind them, and they got the lines. I mentioned this before. They got the lines painted on the road for a fucking reason. You stop up near the line. You don't got to be right on it, but in general, just somewhere right around that line. Well, I was sitting at a light 2 days ago, and the car in front of me was in a hurry. They were already traveling fast, but they're creeping up at the light. And you ever had one of those people that creeps forward more and more, and they just keep creeping? And then next thing you know, this person's sitting in the middle of the fucking intersection. Granted, all the cars had gone through, so nobody was coming, but it was like, if somebody was coming, if obviously they'd see the car, hopefully, and not hit them, but like, what do you fucking think? You're sitting underneath the light that you're waiting to turn green. You don't even know it's gonna be green until the cars behind you or the cars basically right next to you start moving. And it makes me, man, people to drive, like, where do people need to stop being taught to drive by their parents in like tiny little parking lots? Like, you need to bring your kids out to like the hardest fucking, like, as a parent, where don't you want to drive? Like, oh, I hate driving on I-275 at 5 o'clock going south. It's such a mess. There's so much traffic. You can't get off at exits. Then that's where you need to bring your fucking kid. That's where you need to bring your kid for your training, because that's where the kid's going to get the real deal how to drive. How to change lanes really fast when you got 1,000 cars around you. Driving in the parking lot, having no cars in front of you, that's not going to do a fucking thing, I mean, I could have drove around a parking lot when I was 5 years old, probably, if I could have reached the fucking pedals. I mean, that's silly. But, so besides that, like I said, Bill got to do a couple shows. The View, which I don't feel like I've ever watched. The Tonight Show, is that Jimmy Fallon? Am I right on that? Let me know if I'm right on that. But either way, yeah, that's cool. So he's getting to do shows and stuff. Mr. fucking big and too famous to fucking, too famous yet too bored. Had some depression and some lonely time, but it's fucking, too bored to fucking venture onto YouTube and find a podcast about a jackass like him. That's just getting through life. But on that note, that's it for the Thursday. He does it short, so fuck it. I'll go short. Save any material I do have for Monday, and working on things. Headed into work, my 40-hour work week, because I don't have much time to work on this, because I'm a regular fucking person like the rest of us, and we don't have the fucking time to sit around and make fucking mayonnaise, Bill. Anyways, yep, that's about it for today. Everybody have a good weekend. I guess if you're pretty much anywhere in the country, enjoy the weather, jumping up and down. We got, hot, cold, or not hot, but warm, cold. The heat in the truck actually has got my nose a little stuffed today instead of runny, so I'd actually prefer runny because I can wipe that away. But once it gets stuffed to where I can't breathe, then I'm a mouth breather, like Bill said, and then I'm just fucking like a caveman around the fucking job all day. But no, let's see how this day goes. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully the weekend's good. Everybody enjoy your weekend. We got one more week left in March, and then we're into April. Fucking hockey's coming to a real tight close. It's getting nasty. My Lightning won last night, but they barely did it. But it was Dallas, so fucking congrats, because Dallas is a nasty loaded team. So, I'll fucking take it. Other than that, go fuck yourselves. Bill especially, go fuck yourself. You fucking non-listening motherfucker. You too rich for regular people. Fucking son of a bitch. You fucking funny cunt. Alright, I'm out.